This is a presentation about Xiana Blade, which will be given by myself, Iain, and Gustavo. One moment while I find, here we go. Right, Xiana Blade. This is the beginnings of a front end for the Sienna framework. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Sienna framework. It's we use it a lot inside Xiana for creating applications, and it's currently quite back-end heavy. You can include Sienna in your project, and you get the setup of the development environment and the database starting up and the API all provided for you. It's quite a good way to start a project, but there's not very much in the way of front end in it at the moment. By default, you get an empty reframe app, and there are plenty of ways that you can build a reframe app, but there's no simple part of Sienna specifically for that yet. So that's what we're exploring. At the moment, it's not a library as such. We do have some code, yeah, but it's more of a workflow and a concept. And that's what we're going to be introducing tonight. All right. Now, the motivation behind this particular approach was inside Xiana, we use Tailwind quite a lot. It's a good way of getting the layout of an application set up quickly and handling all the CSS, which can get ridiculously complicated. Tailwind eases that process quite a lot. And like I say, we use it all the time. We also have a subscription to Tailwind-UI, which is not just CSS, it also has React components. And these are really quite nice and very easy to use within JavaScript. Now, in theory, it should be straightforward to use them in ClojureScript. In practice, there are some problems. Now, the first of this is, well, it's down to the nature of Tailwind-UI and many other similar frameworks. They work by offering you like snippets of code which you cut and paste and put into your own application. Now, with these being React components, they tend to be in a JSX file, yeah, which is not immediately includable into a project. What we need to do is to compile that JSX file to JS. So in addition to the usual shadow, or I forget the name of the other one, shadow that we use for compiling the ClojureScript to JavaScript, and the CSS watcher to watch for changes in CSS files, we're also going to now have a third watcher, which we'll be using Babel for this purpose. And what this will do is that on the fly, it will compile JSX components, JSX files containing React components into JavaScript. So in theory, we will be able to make the necessary edits to the code that we've cut and pasted from Tailwind-UI or wherever else you happen to be able to find your React components, and the development environment will respond directly to those changes in exactly the same way as it does for ClojureScript, and so that you can watch your application as you're building it. Now then, the demo is going to be based on one of the examples that was provided with the Sienna framework. There are a whole bunch of examples inside the Sienna repo to help help understand how it works and how to set things up and going. One of them is the CLI chat, and this is a the back end is based around a WebSocket, and you can connect to this from the command line, and you have a basic chat application. You can very quickly run this example and open up two terminal windows and type something in this one and it appears over here, and type something in this one and it appears over here. It's quite a nice demo of Sienna working with WebSockets. Now, what we're going to be doing is using the Xiana Blade approach to add a nice front end to this. So at this point, I'm going to hand this over to Gustavo for the practical side of the demo.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Wood.
Oh, one moment before you dive in there. If anybody has questions, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, assuming you're using the web application, there's a triangle, square, and a circle pops up the activities menu, and under there's Q&A. If you've got any questions, stick them in there to start with, and then any convenient breaks in Gustavo's demo, we will answer a few questions. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Gustavo. On you go.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wood. Hello, guys. And let me spend a little bit of what we're going to do here. I will not change too much code, but I have commits for the code changed, okay? And this is my depth configuration of Sienna. This comes from the Sienna template. It's a raw configuration that has a database and a reframe, okay? So when you start this application, when you jack in for this, I already jack in for this application here. When you start this application, when you start this application, you see something that this is the page of the raw application. There is no front end. There is this reframe front end, and I will change this and connect to the CLI chat. One thing, okay, sorry, someone raise a hand? Okay, and what I am gonna be using here is, there is examples on the GitHub page of the Flexiona framework. I will get, I already copied some bits of the CLI chat. So the CLI chat, the name is plain exactly. It's a chat only for command line, okay? And I can say hi from the right, and the left can say hello. And is going through the WebSocket. The message comes from the, it's a string only message. And this is only the CLI. What I'm gonna do here is to introduce a little bit of the Blade, Xiana Blade, and I will change front end for this chat, okay? And so that's okay. Okay, I have to change my commit here just to change the codes. So in a few minutes, I had to change this.
Well, Gustavo's getting the new branch checked out. Did you have a question there? Was it Tim? Was it you put the hand up? No? Okay.
No, that was a mistake. Sorry. I just getting familiar with Google Meet. Thanks.
No worries.
Okay. So this is, there was a change here in the code. I put my dependency here for Xiana Blade, okay? It's local only. I have this change only local here, so that's why it's not production ready, so it's not in the GitHub, but as soon as we push the Xiana Blade to there, we announce that we have this library. I can jack in from here and start my system. So let me just go a little bit of the chat. This comes from the Xiana framework. Okay, this is a part of. Okay, my connection is ready. Let me just start the system. And all right. As said, we have here some code from the backend. This is the Xiana framework. It comes from the project comes with interceptors, handlers to do whatever you want for connection with Postgres database or whatever database you want. We have here some WebSocket interceptors that the CLI chat is already using for WebSocket communication. This comes free from the Sienna code, Sienna framework. Okay. I have here one endpoint for this. This is the reframe. This is the front end endpoint, and this is the WebSocket endpoint for the chat communications. Okay. The Sienna framework. You can see here that there is this events for the WebSocket that they on connect on the when a text is coming. Okay, the interceptors, and I will start now inserting Blade here. What I will do here? Let's see if it's already there. Yes. So as Mr. Wood said, this is a way to transform your React components, whatever when it came from the Tailwind CSS UI kit. There's a lot of pages in there, of components in there, sorry, that you can copy and paste that. This actually is this. This is a Tailwind-UI, and this is the component that I get. You can. This is the paid subscription, right? For Tailwind. And there is some few that's free, but there's a lot of that you have to, okay, not you have to pay here, but you can search for another site that has React components. So you can get your React component, right? And this is what I was using, and you see that here you have dashboard, teams, project. This is sometimes hard-coded on the component, the React component. And your task here is you need to change for your needs here. One thing that is crucial for this, I will show the code, is transform this function to accept some props, and you change the props for your need from the ClojureScript side, okay? And, okay, one thing that I forgot to mention, I need to, this is going to be programmatically, automatically from the Xiana Blade. You launch your Tailwind watcher here for watch the change. I will start here for the Blade library here. As I said, Blade is local for my side here only. And but these things manually is you're not gonna you can do this or when the Blade library is ready, this is gonna be automatically. You just start in a command in your REPL, and everything's gonna be watching and everything's gonna be changing there. So my component that I'm using here, sorry, is this one here, which is that page of the Tailwind CSS kit. And what I did here, just for this example now, on the final chat, I have changed much more. And the thing that you need for this working is you need to change your React component for this integration of these pipelines work, okay? Otherwise, it's going to be just a hard code, a fixed React component. And there is a trend on the React community that is going more for functional components with hooks, and instead of classes you're still using in a lot of places. but there's this trend to use function components, and it is much more easier for us to do because ClojureScript is functional Clojure, and it's the best way to do. Classes, you can do the same thing here. There is some caveats that I'm not explaining here, but is something about this on the classes for the component. The reagent part has some problem with that, but for function components works fine. So what you have to do is insert a props for your function, sorry, and whatever place you want to change, you need to put the props in there. So in this example here, I'm changing the reference for this link, the link, and it's come from the logo link URL from the props, okay? And you start doing a lot of fixing here if you want. You need to know a little bit of JavaScript and React components to do this, of course. And but you can use the functionalities of the React. So this navigation map, I didn't change this. What I will show in on the ClojureScript part that this data that comes from is fixed here will come from the ClojureScript, and you can change that, and you will change on the fly your component, and you can pass whatever you want from ClojureScript, right? So what I will change, I can show a change here. I think if I change this thing here to red on my side here, it's all hooked. Okay, this is, I need to, it's something broken, but this is not supposed to happen now, but it changed your component, but this must be on the fly. And if you see here, I have, sorry, if I change, okay, so this is my component, and let me fetch just the chat, and hold on a minute. Okay, the change that if you do on the, I will do here on this ClojureScript file is inside Xiana Blade, because I'm Xiana Blade. The purpose for that is you can insert whatever React component you want in your project. There's a proper folder for that, and you insert that. This cascade this cascade of changes will propagate until to your UI. Okay, but I'm doing this on the Xiana Blade side just for the matters of this demonstration. But Sienna is gonna come. Xiana Blade is gonna come with a predefinitely components that we want to populate there, that you can use from scratch instead of putting your React there. But the cool thing is to put your React or whatever component you have in your company. If you have, if it comes from the internet, doesn't matter. It's gonna work just as I'm doing here, but locally, just in your project. Okay. One thing that I forgot to mention, that you can try some platforms that you can, like this Teleport HQ, that you can import how you call that, Figma components to this. This can you can change that. You can create React components in here, and you can export this React component for your code. Okay, so this is, if you have in your team some UI designer or some front end, he can design it in some platform like this, save the file for you, and if the props of the function components is everything's fine, you can use if the ClojureScript side. Okay, this is one side of this. All right, sorry. So I will change my, okay. So this is how Blade is gonna work. You put your component in there, changes are made, but you still have to create your ClojureScript component, right? So this is my, okay, I will have to change for the a commit here, just a little bit.
So are there any questions at this point? Andre?
Yes, thank you. Just to make sure I understood, so you, in your project, you import the component that you copy from Tailwind-UI, and then in your in the pipeline you interpret the React into JavaScript, and then you mix that with the output of the shadow CLJS, and then that's how you get your.
Yes.
Or does it go back from? Okay, so everything goes to JavaScript, and then everything is interpreted to JavaScript, but there's two different paths.
Yes, there's
yes,
one from the components.
Okay.
And there's one from the ClojureScript.
And then you interact with the components through the props.
Yes, that's it.
That's the way. Okay, thanks.
That's it. This is the part of this pipeline that was said. You get your React components just like I'm showing you here. You change only the bits that you want. Okay, so like this props type here is gonna just change the title. Okay, and this is cool because if you're not a front-end developer, if you're more centered for a backend, you can fetch whatever component you see on the internet, or if your component has that, and you do not have to bother with this front end anymore. You just have to see the place that you want to change, like these props for change the title, and if you change the title, everything's gonna be on the fly. Okay, and that's what you have to do. Okay, but you still have to understand some bits of JavaScript. Otherwise, you don't know what's props, and you can even change some. You want to, like here, if you want to insert another class name here, you can do that. The props, I don't know, red, and concatenate with this string. So you need to know this is different from the ClojureScript side. You need to know a little bit of Java to these things done. But if in your company, if you have someone who's the UI designer front end, he can do that for you, and you just grab that code, put in your file, in your folder, and it's on the fly. Everything goes there. Okay. And all right. So what I miss here? Oh, okay. And the thing that is the best way to do here, and that's what we are proposed to do, this predefinitely components for Xiana Blade, is split. The thing that I'm doing here is I get a full component of the Tailwind or whatever comes from the internet. The right way to do this here, and the all communities of the UI told this too, is break your components in smaller components, like an atomic component that you can work with that. So I did that here. I grabbed the full chat component. I broke in message component, in user components, and user unread message components for the little components, like here. If you see the JS, oh, sorry. The user, it's a small component, just fetching a props, and if a class is here, and it's gonna be here, a name or whatever is this here, right? So with these things, then I created this web shot here. I change everything. It's hooked from the. This is the start of the component, and I passing these children, okay? This is Blade, this is the simple component. On my side, for my component is, this side, sorry about this, is Okay, this is not I want the views. So this views. This is my raw component that I'm gonna show this here. We have this front end page, this login page, sorry, that you're gonna just put your name here and you use comma. Okay, this is comes from. Oh, I have to. It's get my change that I did before. This is not supposed to read, but it's I'm gonna change everything here. So this is and you can start typing here, and it's okay. Not now. This is the first part. There is another commit that is ready, and you can start doing your component here. Okay, and so this is the thing. Like change here the name users. If you change that thing here, I hope yes, it's changed, but not this page, but change these other pages. Okay, this is. Sometimes it's going to the login page, but it is wrong. You can just take your data and just change the UI that you are seeing. But that is you must create your reframe app that do not go back to the login. But for this purpose, it's change. You can change names here. You see that was just users. Now it's usernames, and this is the workflow. Whatever change in our ClojureScript file is gonna propagate to the Xiana Blade components, and the changes are here. If you change the components of the Sienna thing here, if you go back to gray here, okay, it's go back to gray, okay, and that's last change. I changed the React component, okay. So you have two spots here that you can develop, the React component and the ClojureScript component. The ClojureScript component is going to be very little short because all the UI comes from the React part, okay? And one thing that I should mention, and yes, this is heavily dependent on the reagent, right? The reagent library. You can use reframe here too. Actually, I'm doing this here. If you see this code here, I'm passing for, this is a chat component. I'm passing the reframe subscription for this prop. This is this user count is gonna go to the props in the JS part. There is some little caveats that the JS for this transformation, the key from the JS part is going to be something like this, but it is JS, how you say that, JS names in there, right? But this is completely automatic, right? But for your JS code, you must be aware, because if you try to do this key there, it's not going to be, or you must put keys with an underline, not a dash fork. But the real thing cool here is that doing this, you can focus your ClojureScript side to your logic of your application. Your UI comes from the React component, and you get free components on there, and then you just go to your logic of your components, and you can reframe here. You can pass atoms here to reagent atoms, right? And that's go just right. You know, it's wonderful here. You don't need to use hooks on the JS side when you're using here the reagent atom. You just need to insert the right where is this reagent atom is gonna reactively change some things in your component. You just need to figure out where in the place your React component that's gonna change, and you pass that in your props, and you're gone. Okay, it's everything working here. So this is somehow the workflow of the Xiana Blade, right? Just explain a little bit for this application. This is a WebSocket. What I changed here, I created this endpoint for the WebSocket. Is gonna fetch your name when you see that login page, and what it's gonna do actually, I create here on interceptors. You can create these interceptors for the Sienna framework. I just create this to grab your name from this URL when you're connected to the webhook. Okay. Someone raise hand? No? Okay. Sorry, I was not seeing that. So, all right. Let me see what more can I space. Do you have questions now? Some questions till now. I don't know if I'm too fast, but this is somehow the workflow of the Xiana Blade, and I will show now the last change. Okay, and let me just change my commit again. But feel free to ask some questions. Okay, great. This is my last component. This is my last change for all these application. You can see that I have that login page here. It's another ClojureScript component hooked with this. Sorry, that came from. This is the chat inside Xiana Blade, right? That's the chat, and it's fetching these components from the React part. Okay, so this is my component ready here. I think I'm running a little bit of time, but this is my component ready. I will show you. Actually, let's do this. I will launch any grok here, so you guys can work with this.
All right. While you're getting that going, Gustavo, if we come back to here.
Do you have, guys, some more questions? Because I will enter now the production here. I will just show the last of this application. So I will not be in developer mode. So I will not gonna show change for you, but it's gonna be definitely the end of this application. If some questions arise, please tell us.
Eduardo?
Hey everyone, so I have two questions. So I want to first say that I'm just a Clojure lover, so I'm not experienced with the language. My first question is, are you thinking about mixing Tailwind with some sort of CS in JS? Because Tailwind doesn't include any sort of client-side runtime, so sometimes it's harder to handle with dynamical values.
I don't think about that, but we can use some libraries that can do that. I'm not using here, but I not think of that. That's actually a good suggestion, Eduardo. And but you're right. Sometimes Tailwind don't have these functionalities, and maybe it's because as Xiana Blade is becoming this library, there's a lot of other points that we want to include that, like hickory, if you have a HTML piece of code. But for now, it's just this workflow of Babel change your React components and you hook it in your ClojureScript side. But that's a real thing that you said. It's sure that we need to. I try to do something like that.
Cool.
See enters in the library.
So my second question is, I believe that for Clojure lovers, one of the things they most appreciate is to write Clojure code in the Clojure style. So it is included in your roadmap, kind of a wrapper that avoids us to have so many components in GSX. I know that Reagent already provides it, but with limitations.
Yes.
But
well, the plans, the future plans. This is top of the list. Is that Xiana Blade will provide a whole bunch of React components that all you will have to do is call them from your Clojure code. That's the first step, is to get that all in place. So we have a nice menu bar and layout components, whatever else we think is a good default, a sort of opinionated collection of best bits of website that you just don't need to know JavaScript at all for. After that's in place, then we're going to be looking at including the ability to create your own personal or company collection of components, for which you will need some JavaScript ability, but probably not that much, because also going to be adding guides. So that the process that Gustavo went through from taking a component from Tailwind-UI and putting it into code and changing the various bits so that he could call it from the Clojure code. We'll have examples of how to do that. So essentially, you won't need to know much about JavaScript. It's just like, okay, I've got to follow these steps, and then the component you found is then accessible from Clojure. So we're helping to minimize the pain of having to actually work directly with JavaScript.
Cool, thanks.
Is that you ready to go, Gustavo?
Yeah, everybody, if you can, guys, just get this URL that I put on the chat. Try that. One warning here: it's not production chat, right? It's break something like this left panel is not gonna be the same for everybody, but you guys can try this URL and see if everything's go fine. And I can say, please, if you're gonna do that, go say hi and your name. Oh, another thing is the text is not have the enter already good. You have to press the button here, okay? And that's it. So this is, I like to do that, this thing, because I didn't touch at all on a front-end side. I'm not a really good front this UI designs. But this is all comes from Tailwind CSS Kit. Actually, this chat I grabbed from this other page here, from Tailwind component, that's free. I just came here, show the code, copy and paste, paste in my folder of the Xiana Blade, change the props, whatever I need, and everything is fine, okay? And that's what is going to be maybe the hugest work on this library, Eduardo, and that's what I want to do. It's create a lot of libraries that predefinitely React components, just like you asked, and you can now just in your ClojureScript site fetch your Xiana Blade namespace, chat component, bang, there is there. If you need to pass another these things, you need another link here. You can pass in your ClojureScript side with the link. It's gonna appear another here, and this everything's go fine, and everything's just right, okay? But again, you need to know a little bit of JavaScript if you want to change everything here, right? If you want to change here. But as said, this library is going to be two ways. The finite components, right? There is bit there. And if you need a new component, just paste your component in there and in your local folder, change that, and you're fine to do whatever you want.
Right.
And that's it, guys. I don't know if you have some questions. I don't know if you asked to about the time here. I don't know if I explained to everything here.
That's pretty cool. Connected all over the world, aren't we?
Yeah, and you see there is some caveats here. I was the first to log in. So my left panel here is just me here. So the last login guy will is the winner, take all the names. But this was one thing that I didn't done here. It's I didn't touch too much the backend, right? So the right way to do this is like a database in your backend, storing this name, and when somebody log in, you send back all the names to you, something like that. And but this is just for demos purpose. But that's it. And any questions?
Okay, so just to recap slightly, you were running two repos there, weren't you, Gustavo? The project that we're creating, this chat application, plus a copy of Xiana Blade.
Yes.
Directly on your local file system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what I'm doing. I put these React components in on the Xiana Blade namespace on the project Xiana Blade. Why am I doing that? It's easier for me because it's a work in progress here, and it's the start of the predefined components from Xiana Blade. So what I want is in that side populate with a lot of components with the help of team of Xiana front-end guys and UI designer. Populate a lot of that. Is just like this way that I show you, right? This is from the Xiana Blade part, but this is the same thing that you're gonna do when you're gonna just use the Xiana library. When you put Xiana library in your dependencies, you can use, as I said, the preset libraries in there, the components in there, or you can just put your component in the JSX folder, or you can rename that front, and the Xiana Blade will fetch that and change that, and you can use in your ClojureScript part.
Yeah. And the project that you created, that came directly from the template, didn't it? Is this the depcdn one?
This is the PDN one, the template. What I did here, I create a raw depcdn template that you guys could see the templates in the GitHub page. Then I go to the example of the command line CLI chat in the command line, sorry. And I copy and paste some little bits in there. That's why this left panel here is broken, because there was some the backend for logging to store that, but to minimize the work on the backend side, I just copied the bits that was for the purpose of the communication from the front and the backend. But there was the one login events for that you can change that or use that. But I did not use that. I just used the communications endpoint, and then I create my front end page. And this is the cool of this project, that I didn't create the front end. The front end I just copy and paste from somewhere and change this thing. And that's this thing. It's fast, right? It's very fast. You still need to know a little bit JS again, but it's very fast. I don't have to bother like if you guys see here these reactive components, like this change here for the component here. This
Are you sharing still, Gustavo? I don't know if you're.
I am. You guys see?
I'm not.
I think you are sharing, Ian.
I'm sharing, yes.
Yes.
I'm not sure if yours is still there. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Just got to repin it. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So what am I saying? Oh, this component change here, this thing, I didn't have to change that, you know. This responsive CSS came from the component that I fetched. I didn't have to bother about the functionality of this responsive, okay? It's there on the React component. What I have to do is just change the bits that I want to change. So I don't have to bother a lot of piece of the React component, you just leave it is, and it's work just fine, and you can or you can change for your needs, right? But this is the thing cool. I don't have to bother how to do this reactive component, this, and it's copy and paste, and you are ready to go.
Okay. Now then, you would lose it. If you've got a couple of minutes, we have a survey just for responses to the webinar. It's not long or complicated task. I'm just trying to find the link. Here we go. If you wouldn't mind filling this in for us, that would be pretty cool. There. I've also put the code in the chat, the templates for generating a Sienna project, and the CLI chat example that we use to base this on. There's also another, if you prefer Leiningen, the template we used was the depth CDN one. We also have a Leiningen template for Sienna as well.
Oh, I just saw here that icons work too, emojis work on the chat.
Do they?
I didn't know that. But that's cool.
What is that one?
I don't know who's P, who put in there, but that's cool too. And you know, these times of AI builder, everything, you can use AI here too. Just ask your favorite AI to create a React component, copy and paste to the Xiana Blade, and you can do fast
Yes.
front end here.
All right then. Any more questions from anyone or any comments before we wrap this up?
We will announce when the Xiana Blade is ready for use for production, or at least to play a little bit of that, and maybe on the, I don't know, on the Flexiana on LinkedIn stream, or you guys will know.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't keep quiet about it. We've got it ready.
Yeah, I need to finish this thing.
I would just like to say thank you. It was really interesting and cool ideas.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.